Whenever there's a conversation about the most prodigious football players of all time, the name of Johan Cruyff will most likely pop up. The legendary Dutchman was perhaps best known as the on-field conductor of the total football philosophy which took the football world by storm in the early 70s. The perfect team orchestrator, Cruyff was a creative playmaker with a gift for timing passes. Nominally, he played as a centre forward and was a prolific goal scorer but dropped deep to confuse his markers and could also play on the wing to great effect. Despite his relatively undaunting slim stature and strength, Cruyff's tactical brain and reading of the game were exceptional, so much so that after retiring in 1984, he became a highly successful manager at Dutch club Ajax and later Spanish club Barcelona. Widely regarded as one of the greatest players in football history, Cruyff won the Ballon d'Or 3 times and led the Dutch national team to the final of the 1974 World Cup, receiving the Golden Ball as the player of the tournament. In 1999, he was voted European Player of the Century and came second behind Pelé in the International Federation of Football History and Statistics World Player of the Century poll. Hendrik Johannes Cruyff was born on 25 April 1947 in Amsterdam, Netherlands, as the second son to Hermanus and Petronella Cruyff from a modest working-class background in the east of the city. Johan was an enthusiastic footballer right from his childhood, a passion that was passed down from his football-loving father. Growing up 5 minutes away from Ajax's stadium, the young Cruyff would join the Dutch Giants youth system in 1957 on his 10th birthday. Cruyff and his friends would frequently visit a playground in their neighborhood where then Ajax youth coach Jannie van der Ven, who lived close by, noticed the young lad's talent and decided to offer him a place at the club without a formal trial. In 1959, at the age of 12, Cruyff would unfortunately lose his father from a heart attack, with his death playing a major impact on his mentality. Viewing a potential football career as a way of paying tribute to his father, coupled with helping his mother, who began working at Ajax as a cleaner to be able to provide for her family, motivated the young footballer to work hard in order to be financially stable. He progressed through the youth ranks at Ajax pretty quickly, and in 1964 he made his first team debut in the Eredivisie against FC Groningen, scoring the only goal for Ajax in a 3-1 defeat. In the very same season he debuted, Cruyff and Ajax finished 13th in the league, the club's lowest position since the establishment of professional football, avoiding relegation by a whisker. By then, he was a regular in the starting 11 around the same time Rinus Michels, a renowned former Ajax player turned coach, arrived at the club. Michels soon started employing his own brand of football philosophy and tactics dubbed total football, which in essence had two key concepts: utilization of space and fluidity of positions. The latter concept allowed any outfield player to comfortably take over the role of his teammates in a match when needed. Both were aided by work rate and discipline, with fitness a significant focus alongside skill work with the ball. This unique philosophy was groundbreaking for its time, and to this very day, no player has ever embodied it better than Cruyff. Though nominally a centre forward, Cruyff was everywhere on the pitch, switching to different roles whenever his team needed versatility. In the end, total football quickly proved to be a complete success under the stewardship of Michels. During the manager's tenure, Cruyff, alongside superb teammates like Johan Neskens, Piet Keizer, and Siak Svart, took the club from relegation candidates to a team that won the Dutch League title 4 times, together with the Dutch Cup 3 times in the following 6 years. In 1969, the club reached the final of the European Cup for the first time but succumbed to a 4-1 defeat at the hands of Italian side AC Milan. 2 years later, Cruyff and Ajax would win the first of 3 European Cups that they would consecutively lift from 1971, 1972 and 1973, with Cruyff bagging twice to beat Italian club Inter 2-0 in the 72 final. The remarkable 3 consecutive European Cup triumph was a feat only achieved previously by the great Real Madrid team consisting of Alfredo Di Stefano and Ferenc Puskás from 1956 to 1958. During his 9 seasons at the club, Cruyff led Ajax to a total 6 Eredivisie titles, 4 Dutch Cups, 3 European Cups/Champions Leagues, 1 European Super Cup, and 1 Intercontinental Cup/Club World Cup. In the process, the Dutchman played a total 240 games and scored 190 goals. For his exceptional football achievements, Cruyff was duly awarded the Ballon d'Or twice in 1971 and 1973. At the start of the 1973-74 season, Cruyff joined his former coach and mentor Michels, who was coaching at Spanish club Barcelona for an equivalent of $2 million, which was then a transfer record fee for a footballer. It didn't take long to notice that Cruyff and Barca were a match made in heaven, going as far as leading the club to their first La Liga title since 1960, defeating the fiercest rivals Real Madrid 5-0 at their home stadium, the Santiago Bernabeu. Thousands of Barca fans who watched the match on television poured out of their homes to join in the street celebrations, with football journalists writing that Cruyff had done more for the spirit of the Catalan people in 90 minutes than many politicians in years of struggle. Due to the dominating nature of his performances, the brilliant Dutchman won his third Ballon d'Or in 1974 at the end of his first triumphant season with the Blaugrana. 1974 was also the year of the World Cup, the first and only World Cup tournament Cruyff would participate in. On 7 September 1966, he made his official debut for the Netherlands in the Euro 1968 qualifier against Hungary, scoring in the 2-2 draw. From 1970 onwards, he wore the number 14 jersey for the Netherlands, which would later become iconic, as he also became the first player to don a number outside the usual starting squad numbers of 1 to 11. Back to the 1974 World Cup, and unsurprisingly, the Netherlands had employed manager Michels, who had just left Barcelona after winning the La Liga title together with Cruyff. Thanks to his team's mastery of total football, which they implemented like clockwork, the Flying Dutchman, captained by Cruyff, coasted all the way to the final, knocking out Argentina, East Germany, and Brazil without conceding a single goal. Cruyff scored twice against Argentina in one of his team's most dominating performances and scored the second goal against Brazil to knock out the defending champions. His nation's run came to an end in the final, however, as West Germany overcame Netherlands' first-minute lead and eventually won the game 2-1 thanks to Paul Breitner and Gerd Muller's strikes. Even though Oranje would leave a promising tournament empty-handed, Cruyff was still awarded the Golden Ball for his performances. He would retire from international football in October 1977 at the age of 30, having helped his nation qualify for the upcoming World Cup in 1978. Without his presence, the Netherlands finished runners-up in the tournament again, this time losing 3-1 to Mario Kempes and Argentina. Cruyff would later reveal in an interview years later in 2008 that he and his family were subject to a kidnap attempt in Barcelona a year before the tournament, and that's what had caused his early international retirement. In total, he had made 44 appearances from 1966 to 1977 for the Netherlands, with a total goal tally of 33 goals. At club level, his Barcelona career came to an end in 1978. Solidifying himself as one of the greatest ever players to represent the club, the Dutchman played a total of 227 games and scored 85 goals. In terms of silverware, he lifted one La Liga title as well as one Copa del Rey, with the time spent in Catalonia. After leaving Barcelona in 1978, Cruyff decided to go the North American route, playing 2 seasons for the Los Angeles Aztecs and the Washington Diplomats. He had briefly retired from football altogether before moving to the States, but a failed investment in pig farming that had lost him millions forced him to lace his boots once again. In 1981, he would return to Spain, not to Barcelona but rather Levante, where he played only 10 games due to a series of injuries. Cruyff would then make a surprise return to his boyhood club Ajax for a second spell at the start of the 1981-82 campaign. He had rejoined Ajax in November 1980 before his stint with Levante as technical advisor to trainer Leo Beenhakker before officially putting pen to paper as a player. Once again, he led them to 2 Eredivisie titles and 1 Dutch Cup in 1982 and 1983 respectively. However, after the club failed to offer him an improved contract, Cruyff decided to finish his playing career at Ajax's longtime rivals Feyenoord. His one season at Feyenoord was a successful one, with the club winning the league for the first time in a decade, together with the Dutch Cup as part of a domestic double. The team's success was down to the performances of Cruyff alongside a young Ruud Gullit and striker Peter Houtman. Despite his relatively advanced football age of 36, Cruyff played all league matches that 83-84 season except for one. Due to his stellar performances on the pitch, he was voted as Dutch Footballer of the Year for the 5th time. He ended his competitive playing career on the 13th of May 1984 with a goal against Dutch club Zwolle and played his last game, a friendly, against Saudi Arabian club Al Ahly. In 1985, Cruyff followed in the footsteps of his mentor Rinus Michels and began coaching at his beloved Ajax. He would guide a young Ajax team that had the likes of Ronald Koeman, Frank Rijkaard and Marco van Basten to Dutch Cup victory at the end of his maiden season in management. The following season in 86-87, his team would retain the Dutch Cup and go a step further in winning the campaign's UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. It was during this period as manager of Ajax that he developed his celebrated system, a hallmark of the now modern football that was heavily concentrated on quick attacking play, implemented by ball-playing defenders, controlling midfielders, and two touchline-hugging wingers complementing one versatile centre-forward. After spending 3 years at Ajax, he took over at Barcelona as the manager in 1988, replacing former player Carles Reixach, who took the role of assistant manager. By the time of his return to the club, Barcelona were again struggling to compete with Real Madrid, with the club from the capital winning 5 consecutive La Liga titles between 1986 and 1990. The Dutchman immediately had his Barca charges playing his attractive brand of football, and the results did not take long to bear fruit. Additionally, this didn't just happen with the senior team, as the youth squads also displayed the same attacking philosophy, something that made it easier for reserve players to make the switch to the first team. Silverware arrived during his debut campaign as Barcelona won the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup in 1988-89, beating Italian side Sampdoria 2-0 in the final. The summer saw Cruyff's side begin to truly take shape as Ronald Koeman arrived from Ajax, the Dutchman having previously coached his compatriot during his time in charge of the Amsterdam outfit. Michael Laudrup also arrived as one of the club's 3 designated foreign players, the talented Danish midfielder having struggled to make an impact during 2 seasons with Italian club Juventus. Even though Barca still struggled to compete with Real for the title in the 1989-90 season, they had something to celebrate with the Copa del Rey success. Cruyff added to his options once more after signing fiery Bulgarian forward Hristo Stoichkov, who arrived after winning the European Golden Shoe with CSKA Sofia. There was also a promotion to the senior team for a young Pep Guardiola, the academy graduate having been converted from a winger into a more central role on the recommendation of Cruyff before breaking into the first team, with Stoichkov, Koeman and Laudrup providing the foreign flair and a talented homegrown core including Guardiola, Andoni Zubizarreta and Jose Maria Baquero. Cruyff's dream team became a reality as Barcelona were crowned La Liga champions for the first time in 6 seasons in 1991, finishing 10 points clear of Real. The league title was retained on the final day of the following campaign in a fiercely contested title race between the champions and both Madrid sides, with Barca finishing just 1 point clear of Real. The back-to-back title victory had cemented Cruyff's legacy at the Camp Nou, though further history was made as the Blaugrana cruised in the European Cup, progressing to a final meeting with familiar opponents Sampdoria at Wembley Stadium in 1992. Ronald Koeman's free kick proved the difference as the Catalans secured a 1-0 win and were crowned champions of Europe for the very first time in their history. Cruyff and his dream team would go on to win a 3rd consecutive league title the following campaign after again narrowly edging Real Madrid at the end of the 1992-93 season. In the 1993-94 campaign, Cruyff was boosted further by the signing of Brazilian forward Romario from Dutch club PSV, who scored 30 goals in 33 league games. The dream team had recorded a total of 91 goals, including 5 in one memorable El Clasico victory to hold off the surprise challenge of Deportivo La Coruña for a 4th consecutive La Liga title via goal difference. The dreams would eventually turn to nightmares as egos and tensions rose in the dressing room, and with star players like Laudrup leaving to join bitter rivals Real for more game time. Cruyff and his men had also been shockingly embarrassed by AC Milan in the 1994 Champions League final as the Italians romped to a 4-0 victory. This, combined with Cruyff's failure to win more trophies in the next 2 seasons, led to his sacking in 1996 amid a fallout with club chairman Josep Núñez. The Dutchman had spent 8 seasons in Catalonia and to date is still the longest-serving manager at the club. Cruyff was also the most successful Barca coach with 11 total trophies won until he was surpassed by one of his protégés, a certain Guardiola, who won an unprecedented 14 trophies in just 4 seasons. He would never take up another top job in football management after leaving Barcelona, an action he upheld on the advice of his doctors. This was due to a heart attack he had suffered in 1991, brought about by stress and his heavy smoking habits, which he subsequently underwent double bypass surgery to correct. Although his gargantuan presence on the touchline came to a conclusion, Cruyff's supremacy and footballing leadership was all but extinguished. Even today, the name Johan Cruyff is famed throughout the world of football. Not only was he one of the greats, he literally changed the way football was viewed and played by many across the planet. His take on how the beautiful game should be played is something to be enjoyed, as he believed quality without results is pointless, but results without quality is boring. Cruyff carried with him the ideologies he was brought up on at Ajax to Barcelona and wanted to create a team people would enjoy watching. The man did not only excel as Barca's manager, but he created a system which would go on to develop some of the greatest players the world has ever seen. Barca's famed La Masia Youth Academy was Cruyff's brainchild, as he wanted the ideals he learned at Ajax to become commonplace in Catalonia. The likes of Lionel Messi, Andres Iniesta, and Xavi would probably not have become legendary figures if it wasn't for Cruyff and his teachings. The ideals he brought to Barcelona shaped and molded the club into one of the greatest establishments in the sport. It wasn't always easy for Barca to stick by the philosophies the Dutchman had bore, with opponents adopting a defensive and more physical approach. Nevertheless, they stuck to the principles of total football and developed tiki-taka, a style of play that was characterized by short passing and movement, working the ball through channels and maintaining possession. Tiki-taka was also popularly adopted by the Spanish national team, who entertained audiences and mesmerized their opposition on the way to winning the 2008 and 2012 Euros, as well as the World Cup in 2010. The Cruyffian influence was also present in the German national team, which lifted the 2014 World Cup, as 7 of the squad members were Bayern Munich players who at the time were being coached by Cruyff's student Pep Guardiola. The aforementioned Guardiola, the man who overtook Cruyff's record as the most successful Barca coach, is perhaps the biggest and best example of someone who idolized Cruyff and as his pupil replicated his ideas at Barcelona, German giants Bayern, and is currently doing bits at English heavyweights Manchester City. There's also Ronald de Boer, Ronald Koeman, Frank Rijkaard, Arsene Wenger, and countless others who adopted Cruyff's ideas with success from a managerial standpoint. His signature move, the Cruyff turn, is now a staple of the game, first unleashed during the 1974 World Cup group stage when he was being pressed by Swedish defender Jan Olsson, but evaded him by dragging the ball back past his standing leg to make a 180-degree turn. As a philanthropist, Cruyff founded the Johan Cruyff Foundation in 1997 to provide opportunities for children of all backgrounds in order to be active in sports and play. The foundation builds Cruyff courts, small football fields with artificial grass integrated into neighborhoods. UEFA praised the foundation for its positive effect on young people, and Cruyff received the UEFA Grassroots Award on the opening of the 100th court in late 2009. By 2016, the foundation had built over 200 such courts, 33 of which were specially designed for handicapped children in appropriate locations. In 1999, he founded the Johan Cruyff Institute, an educational institution aimed at educating athletes, sports and business professionals in the field of sports management. In October 2015, Cruyff was unfortunately diagnosed with lung cancer. He had always been a heavy smoker since boyhood and used to smoke 20 cigarettes a day in his adulthood until he underwent the emergency bypass operation in 1991. After giving up smoking following the surgery, he took to sucking lollipops as a way to cope with the tension when managing and watching games. On the morning of 24th March 2016, in a clinic in Barcelona, Johan Cruyff, the father of modern football, sadly passed away at the age of 68, surrounded by his wife, children, and grandchildren. His lung cancer had spread to his brain, and a week before his death, he had begun to lose his ability to speak, as well as movement on his left side. In his honor, the Amsterdam Arena, home stadium to Ajax, was renamed the Johan Cruyff Arena in 2018. Additionally, a Stade Johan Cruyff, or the Johan Cruyff Stadium, was built by Barcelona and opened in 2019 as the home of the club's women's team together with the men's reserve team.
How do you rate your play now? Are you playing better than before? Do you see yourself as having tremendous potential still? Are you more of an individual, more of a team man than you were?
No, I think it's a normal thing for a footballer. That you've got your basic things. And this starts about 20 years. But when you get older, you see a lot of things more in football. I mean, just football. And if the first thing is individual, you see more of the football when you're 22, 23. And I think the best time, by routine, by everything else, is about 26, 27.
So you reckon you're now about at your peak?
I hope so, yeah.